Have you ever walked into a room and felt like no one saw you? Not because you were shy, not because you were quiet, but because somehow you just didn't register. You weren't ignored. You weren't disliked. You were simply unseen. And the terrifying part? It had nothing to do with how smart you were, nothing to do with how hard you worked, or how much you had to offer. This is the psychology of the invisible person. And if any part of what I just said felt familiar, this video was made for you. First, let's be clear about what we're talking about. Being invisible is not the same as being introverted. It's not the same as being shy. And it's definitely not the same as being a pushover. In fact, research in social psychology consistently shows that invisible people are often some of the most capable, observant, and emotionally intelligent individuals in any group. They notice everything. They process deeply. They feel intensely. But somewhere between what they think and what the world receives, something gets lost. Psychologists call this phenomenon social invisibility, a pattern where a person is consistently overlooked, underestimated, or forgotten in social and professional settings, despite being fully present. And it's more common than most people realize. Studies estimate that nearly 1 in 4 adults report feeling chronically unseen in their personal or professional lives. Not occasionally, chronically. That's a quarter of the population walking through life feeling like a ghost. Here's what most people get wrong about invisible people. They assume it's a choice, that invisible people decided to shrink, that they were just born quiet or passive or unremarkable. But the truth is far more complex. Social invisibility almost always starts in childhood. Psychologists who study attachment theory and the science of how our earliest relationships shape our behavior have found that many invisible adults grew up in environments where being seen carried a cost. Maybe expressing emotion led to being dismissed. Maybe being visible meant becoming a target. Maybe the only way to feel safe was to disappear. So the child adapted. They learned to take up less space, to speak only when spoken to need less, want less, ask for less. They learned that being small kept them safe. And then they grew up, and that survival strategy, the one that protected them as a child, followed them into adulthood, into their careers, into their relationships, into every room they've ever walked into. The brain doesn't know the threat is gone. It only knows what it was taught. Yet this is where it gets serious, because living as an invisible person isn't just uncomfortable. Over time, it rewires you. Neuroscientists studying social rejection and chronic social exclusion have found that being consistently overlooked activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. Let that sit for a moment. Your brain processes being invisible the same way it processes being hurt. And when that experience becomes chronic, when it happens day after day, year after year, the brain begins to adapt again. It starts to expect invisibility. It starts to predict rejection before it happens, to preemptively shrink before anyone has a chance to overlook you. Psychologists call this a negative social schema, a deeply embedded belief system that tells you, I don't matter, I won't be heard, there's no point. And the cruel irony, that belief system makes the invisibility worse, because when you expect to be unseen, you behave in ways that confirm it. You don't raise your hand, you don't speak first, you don't take the seat at the table, and the world unfortunately takes you at your word. But here's what they don't tell you, what they never tell you. Invisibility is not only a wound, it is also a weapon. Because when no one is watching you, you watch everyone. Invisible people develop an almost superhuman ability to read rooms, read people, and read situations. They see the dynamics others miss. They hear what isn't being said. They understand human behavior at a depth that people who were always in the spotlight never develop, because they never had to. People who occupy peripheral social positions demonstrate significantly higher accuracy in reading emotional states, detecting deception, and predicting social outcomes. In other words, invisible people are better at understanding people than the people everyone is paying attention to. In negotiation, in strategy, in leadership, in any situation where understanding what someone really means matters more than what they say, the invisible person has the advantage. They've been studying people their whole life. Everyone else just started. It shifts the moment they realize the world doesn't see them yet, but it will. Because invisibility was never about lack of value. It was about lack of positioning.
The most dangerous transformation a person can make is when an invisible person decides to step forward, not loudly, not dramatically, but deliberately. The employee who said nothing in meetings for 2 years and then built the company's most successful division. The student who sat in the back of every class and then wrote the thesis that changed how we understand the subject. The person everyone underestimated until the day they stopped allowing it. The most dangerous person in any room is the one no one noticed was watching. Now, what do you actually do with this? The first is simply this: name the pattern. Naming it: social invisibility, negative social schema, learned smallness. Gives your brain something to work with. It makes it a thing you have, not a thing you are. The second is micro-visibility. Small, deliberate acts of being seen. Saying your name clearly when you meet someone. Making one comment in a meeting you would normally stay silent in. Holding eye contact 2 seconds longer than feels comfortable. To a nervous system trained to hide, these are acts of profound courage. Every micro moment of being seen teaches your brain a new truth. It's safe to exist here. The third, use what your invisibility gave you: the observation skills, the emotional intelligence, the ability to read what others miss, the patience, the resilience, the depth. These are not consolation prizes. They are rare and powerful capabilities that most people, the loud ones, the obvious ones, the ones everyone always noticed, never developed. Your invisibility built something in you that the spotlight never could. The question is no longer why no one saw you. The question is, what are you going to do now that you see yourself? The world is about to find out what you've been building in the dark. But before you go, I want you to do something, not for me, for yourself. Think about one person in your life who feels this way, who sits in the back, who never raises their hand, who you've watched be overlooked again and again. Send them this video, not with an explanation, just send it. Let it speak for itself, because the invisible person doesn't need someone to fix them. They need someone to finally see them. Maybe that person is you. Maybe it's someone you love. Either way, this video was made for both of you. If this spoke to something real inside you, something you've carried for a long time but never had words for, leave a comment below. Just one word, the word that describes how you felt when no one noticed you were there. I read every single one. And subscribe to this channel, not because it's what you do at the end of a video, but because every single week we come here to say the things that nobody else is saying. For the people that nobody else is seeing, you've been invisible long enough. It's time the world learned what you're made of. I'll see you in the next one.